Okay guys, so today I will be downloading Linux Mint, and I'm going to take the regular processes like entering the name, selecting the ISO image, choosing my memory, my CPUs, and then I'll hit finish. I'm going to start the machine. And here I'm going to choose the selected option that I want. In this case, I would have chosen the first option. And this is basically it loading. So guys, this is basically what our Linux Mint looks like before we actually do any configurations. So at this point guys, I'm basically doing the configurations and setup before I can actually use my Linux Mint. And basically my Linux Mint has been installed and I have to restart the system. So all the configurations can take effect. So at this point, I'm going to enter my password that I would have entered at setup so that I can enter my Linux. I would have entered the wrong password, so I'm going to enter the correct thing now. Yeah guys, and we are inside of our Linux Mint, and that's it. So now let me move on to installing. Well, this is basically me just playing around with some of the features to see what they look like. Enjoy. Okay guys, so now I'm installing Windows 11 and I'm going to go through the configurations. So at this point I'm going to hit next and hit install. Okay guys, so I know you're going to see me choosing Windows Home, but I did not choose Windows Home. I would have chosen Windows Pro Standard because of the dynamics of our project. Home would not work. I don't have the video footage. I'm not sure what happened. I'm really sorry, but for this project we have to choose Windows Pro in order to get our stuff done. So this process is going to take a while, so I'm going to speed up the video. Okay guys, so again, for the sake of the video, I will fast forward to me signing into my Windows 11. Yeah, and this is me inside of my Windows 11. Hi guys, so here I am installing my Windows Server on my virtual machine. I'm going to choose the processes, and here I am installing the ISO file. I'm going to choose my memory. I'm going to take it almost all the way up, now get into the red zone. I'm going to choose my CPUs, and I'm also going to choose my memory here. And now I'm going to run my Windows Server. So in this case, I'm going to choose the options that are necessary to me or that applies to me. And in this case, it's English, and I'm going to hit install. Okay, so I now need to change the Windows Server operating system I'm going to install. It is important to pay attention here because the desktop experience, which are options 2 and 4, installs the full graphical interface, which is ideal for learning and evaluating Windows Server 2019. However, the options that do not include the desktop experience, which are 1 and 3, options 1 and 3, will install a server core version of the operating system, which does not include GUI, and is managed using PowerShell or remotely using Windows Admin Center. But for today, we will choose option 2. I'm now asked to create a password, which I will use going forward. So this is me basically entering the password. And this is our Windows Server 2019 installed. So in order to use our keyboard, we are going to go to Input, Keyboard, and we're going to choose Insert, Control, Alt, and Delete. And now we're able to use our keyboard, and we're going to enter the password that we would have entered at the beginning. And this is our Windows Server 2019. They're asking, do you want to allow your PC to be discovered? So we're just going to hit no for now. And these are the options here, guys. Windows Server 2019, standard evaluation, Windows license. So this is valid for 180 days. And yes, that's our server. So part of configuring our server is to check for, latest updates that our server may need. We also need to change our computer's name. We also need to change the time zone, etc. So in the following videos, this is what you're going to see me doing. And this is our server here, checking for the latest updates, which is going to take a little while. So I'm going to have to fast forward. So as we can see, there is literally no updates available at this time, so there's nothing to download. So I'm basically going to change the time zone just to make sure it's accurate. So I'm going to go into local server. I'm going to go to time zone. And the time zone is pretty much what I want it to be. We are hour in front of US. So their time would be 3:58 or 3:59, and our time would be 4:59. The time zone is pretty much fine. Yeah, and that's it for the time zone. Alright guys, so in this part I'm going to change my computer name. And I'm going to change it to, rename this computer. I'm going to change it to Nell 360. I'm going to hit OK. And now it's going to tell me that I need to restart my machine before, yes, so I'm going to restart it. I'm going to hit restart now. And remember guys, in order to use your keyboard, you have to go to Input, Keyboard, and CTRL Alt and Delete in order to be able to use your keyboard. So now I'm basically going to create an IP address. So I'm going to go to Ethernet, Properties, I'm going to go to TCP4, I'm going to hit properties again, and here's where I'm actually going to enter my IP address. So now I'm going to check my IP address using my command prompt. So I'm going to enter IP config. And there is my IP address, 192.168.13, 192.168.11. So now I'm going to check to see if it's working. I'm going to check to see if it can reach my router. So I'm now going to enter the address. And yes, it reaches my router. And that is my configuration of installation and configuration of Windows Server 2019. Okay guys, so from here I'm going to install my Active Directories, my DNS, my DHCPs, and my deployment services, because we are going to be deploying Linux and Windows 11. So you would have seen me going into Manage, Roles and Services, and I'm going to choose Next here. So in this option, you'll see me basically selecting the options that I need, such as the DHCP, the DNS, the Active Directory, and of course the deployment services. So every time I select one, I have to hit Add Feature. So this is basically me just reviewing everything quickly, ensuring that I've selected the correct choices, and then I'll hit install. It's going to give me an option to restart the machine when the install is finished. So you'll see me selecting that option as well. I'm going to promote my server to a domain controller. In other words, I will now make my domain. So to do that, I'm going to select promote the server to a domain controller right there in blue. Okay, so I only have the server. I do not have an existing domain controller. So I'm going to create a domain controller. So I select add a new forest. And I'm going to be given an option to set up a domain name as well. So here I'm given the option to enter, but it's not really an option because I have to enter a password. So I'm going to enter a password. So at this point, the net bias is going to populate for itself, and I'm just going to leave everything that comes up default, so I'm just going to keep hitting next. So now I'm basically gonna hit install. So this is me basically entering back my password into my server machine to get it booted up or started. And there is my server. So it's going to take some time to load. Alright, so now I'm going to go back into the server manager. I'm going to go up to the flag and hit DHCP configurations. Configure DHCP. And I'm going to go through the process. And I want to use my credentials there, so I'm going to hit next. But you just need reading through what's here, and I'm going to hit next again. So as I mentioned, I'm going to set up my DHCP first. I'm going to go into Tools. I'm going to go on now 360. So I'm just expanding the screen so it can be more visible. I'm going to expand now 360. I'm also going to expand IP4. And I'm going to choose new scope. And I'm just going to follow the wizard. So my parent domain or main domain would be now 360, and I want to configure my scope clients to use DNS server on my network. Therefore, I have to enter an IP address for these servers, which I'm going to do, and hit add. So basically, I'm going into the scope clients, and I'm checking to make sure that the IP address is there, which is also showing me the range. Okay, so now I'm going to go to Tools, Active Directories, and Users. I'm going to actually create users now, guys. So I'm basically going to right-click on null 360, and I'm going to go to New, Organizational Unit, and I want my new object to be named or called Finance. So now I'm going to set up a user. So now I want to set up a user that can log into my domain, now 360, or my organizational unit, and in this case, I want to name my user GL, or General Ledger. So in my other videos, I would have said where the user has to change password and login, but for the sake of this video, I am not going to allow the user to change the password. They're going to have to use a password that I would give them. I would give them the password. Create another user, and I'm going to name this user Accounts Payables, or AP. I'm also not going to change the password, as you'll see lower down in the video. I'm not going to give the user the option to change the password and login. I am also going to provide the password for accounts payable users. And guys, those are the basic steps for setting up a T8CP, a DNS server, deployment services, users, and organizational units. Okay guys, so this is literally my 5th attempt of trying to connect my Linux Mint to my server. Luckily for me, this time I was successful. So this is me basically checking the settings in my Ethernet and my IP4 to make sure the server addresses are correct. So I literally had to keep checking this over because the server wasn't recognizing or connecting to the domain at all. So I had to keep double checking. I mean, at this point in time, which is the 6th attempt, I was successful. So now I'm going to go into the terminal, which I already have pulled up, and enter some commands. So at this point, guys, you always see me enter new commands, which we'll talk about after. But to the top of this command that I'm writing here, what happened is I was not entering the Samba command, and it's only because I was entering other commands that I would have, seen online and stuff. But when I entered the Samba command and checking the IP4 and the server settings and stuff, that's when I was actually able, or when this machine was actually able to recognize the client. So here I would have entered another command and it's telling me not found, and it's also giving me an option by telling me, to try this command. So because I still wasn't getting through, this is me, checking again to make sure my static address, is what I want it to be. Guys, I really struggle here. So this is just me ensuring that the DNS and the route address, the IP address is the same for the final time. After this, guys, I got through. So finally, in the end, I kept entering now360.com.local, and that wasn't giving me any feedback. Eventually, I realized I was entering the wrong name. It was just now360.com, and yeah, I was actually able to connect my link to my server. So let me just share a screenshot with you guys showing that it has been connected. So before I share that screenshot, there's one more command I have to enter that would tell me that it has already joined the domain. So let me do that now. Okay, so as you can see, I'm entering sudo ram join dash u now360.com, the domain name, and that is going to tell me or prove to me that my Linux Mint client has joined my Windows server. And yeah, guys, that's the process to allow your client to join your Windows server. In this case, my client is Linux Mint. You must go through the terminal and set commands.
Okay, now I will guide you through the process of installing and configuring Internet or IIS web server on Windows Server, followed by its site. So let's begin with installation. Install IIS with Server Manager. I have it right here. From the menu, you go to select Manage, then choose Add Rules and Features. The add rules and features, we're going to proceed to the server rules section, right? So all these pages, we're going to click next, next, next. So here in the add rules and features wizard, where we have proceeded to the server rules section. Here we want to select the role name web server IIS when prompted, and we'll add any required features that are automatically suggested. Right, so we're going to click next to this in the rules and services. We're going to ensure components are selected. These are the minimum ones, which should include, common HTTP features for basic web serving capabilities and health and diagnostics, so monitoring and troubleshooting purposes. You may select additional features based on your requirements, so like application development or security options. So we want to proceed through the remaining steps. Right, so we don't want to select anything here. Yeah, once everything is good, click next and want to complete and finish the installation. So once the installation is finished, the IIS will be installed on the server. We go on to configuring this server. Right, so we give it some time to install. Right, now that your IIS is installed, let us configure it to our host website. So you want to open up the Internet Services IIS Manager. Right, you can find it under Tools in your Server Manager. In the IIS Manager, when it opens, you want to expand the server node in the left pane. So sometimes you have to bear with me a little bit as my laptop isn't super fast. Let's go. Next, we want to essentially we want to get to our um, sites, selecting our website. So in the ad website, it will provide to provide specific details, right? So in this public, it provides things like cycling, for example, um, test. It's, there's some things you can without adding a extension, which is not them. Um, it will create an issue just that makes sense. Or if it simplifies that out, keep that out, then to go to our then so for certain time to add our points to use for the integration maybe when we get to this point we specify this functions so you can see that pub and the root for your website files will reside. This folder is created by default on this software. Right? So we're going to navigate to it and we're going to open it up as our install source physical path where any website I create this particular any page, sorry, when you go on this website, uh, one of the people important things is easy traffic. We want to find what is that you do by itself. What is it? Alright, so we can do it for this instance. What happens? Slide creates an error. Error is confused that it all connection to this. Which is not what it is. Right? So let's put this one. Let's do this off. So find it to our website. So our let's see. So everything will be posted here on this particular IP address. Right, so it's 192.168.1. Right, so once the details are good, we click here and the website and we'll click on the site here and we'll start with the once the configurations are valid. As you saw, no pop-up came up when I pressed OK. Now, with the site config, you want to host a simple web page. To host a web page, you have to create an HTML. In this particular case, we're going to use something very simple. A lot of companies have. We're going to use that. You're familiar with any coding program, stuff like that. That's that I'm able to create this particular um, website. But before that, I'm just going to make sure that the file or site is uploaded. So you want to go to localhost, you will type in a local URL. This will take us to our website, it's 43 port, which is currently set. We will go about the custom change. Right. Host, go up. There you go. So our web server is operational. Now we just have to go about creating our web page to host our particular web pages. Right? So it's the first step. Quick test out there to make sure it's good. And to be happy about this right now. So instead of video, we're gonna go done. that young creates an effect. I think the creates the very basic this test and this demonstration to show how particular what is right. So we have no party we have to create titles all of the create for language. Sorry about that. So great. So we're going to type out our code as instead. We have taken up the inputs. So the source will have some inputs in there. Quickly create a page like that. So we're going to try it. So now that we have our page, we want to save it. And ensure that we save it as HTML file. So right now it's default as a TXT or text file. This will not be useful for us when we're using our website. So change the sort files, change format into HTML. Right, we want to save it in our physical file where all of the lessons we want to search for. There you can some reactions, right? I'll change your input points using right? Save, right? Save. Yeah, explore. Just gonna name this. Next, cheapest after we. So, what I was thinking to add our site to our server, right? So, default and to tab for documents. This would be particular step five. Once you see all the websites with the thing, you want to select the next positioning file each to the file. Stick with this little point to something which will search for your file, see what I look here, see that, right? Import the system. Leave that or what our language. Right. Look up. Yes. And we see we have it again. It shouldn't allow you. And that's for the purpose of this demonstration. You are finally any just to show that It's when you set the right parameters. Right, so let's talk about my page. It should load it fresh. Group 2 is the HTML page. Your static HTML page is so there you have it. So now this loads up. This is bad. Let's see if it gets to our server. You pop up browser and we're going to input the web server's the site's address, right? So we go to HTTP 192.168.1.1. This is the ID for the site. And this should carry us straight to our web page. Right. Here we go. Welcome to HTTP page. You can see this. Right. Hello everyone. So first thing we want to do is configure Exchange Server 2019. It's down to the Visual C++ 2019 we distributed on the official Microsoft page. So that's what we will do first to begin with. So this is what it would look like. So we will be downloading 64-bit and 32-bit languages. So you can see the version, file name, the publish, the size, all that information will be there. Language into which, and then we will download and choose files. Select it. Click this. If a problem occurs like this, simply just click on download link and then we will get you know installer or setup file. You will just look for it. 64-bit.
Yeah. Hi, good day. My name is Christian, and today I'll be showing you how to configure and access a VPN on both your client and host Windows 2019 server. And for us to start, you'll have to click on Add Roles and Services and go right down to Server Roles. Once you reach there, you'll want to make sure that the remote access box is ticked, and then click Next. And from there, when you reach make sure that the remote access is clicked, you go right down to Role Services and make sure that the direct access to the VPN is checked. You don't want to miss out on that. Afterwards, you just click Next until install and wait for the installation process to happen. The installation is completed, you'll want to open the Getting Started wizard. Once clicked, this will carry you to the Configuration Remote Access, where you will be listed three options. For now, I'm only going to deploy the VPN, so we will click that. And this would also carry us to a separate box with the routing and remote access. Once in here, we would want to right click on the Win2 logo and configure and enable routing and remote access. This would carry us to a different setup wizard, which we would want to click on custom configurations. Once we hit, would select a combination of features available in the routing and remote access. Once that's completed, we click next. Make sure the checkbox for the VPN access is clicked, and from there we just finish the process and on to the next step. Realize once everything is completed and you go back onto the routing and remote access, you'll see a lot more things are added there, like the network interfaces, the ports, the remote access clients, logins, the IPv4 and 6 settings, and so forth, so forth. Now, once all of that is completed, you'll want to go back onto the dashboard, click on Tools, and click on the. Now, please be patient because my server is kind of lagging, and a lot of the processes throughout this video may take longer than it needs to be because of said lag. A side note, it would be best that you do add the clients into a singular group. Now you'll see that later in the video I did do this. So you'll want to go onto network policy server. You'll then want to click on policies, click on the network policy folder, click new, and add in your VPN. Once you are finished with the policy name, you'd want to click on the slide down folder and make sure that the remote access server of the VPN dial-up is selected and click on next. From there, you just want to that the VPN dial-up is selected. You'll be asked to add in certain conditions. Now, these conditions mean that they want to know what particular group should have access to your VPN or should be allowed access into your VPN. And what I would recommend doing before all of this, like I did state before, make sure that all the users and computers that you wish to have access to the VPN is placed in a group within the same folder, so it would make it less tasking to look for the group that you would like to have access to your VPN. Now in the three listed sections, you'd want to click on the Windows group. Make sure you add a group to there, and again, make sure the name of the group that you added all your users into matches the name that you are selecting, because if there isn't any users in that group, obviously the clients you wish to have access to your VPN would just not have it. Once you click next, make sure the access granted option is checked. This would help or grant access if client connection attempts matches the condition of said policy. Once that is done, you click next. Make sure to take off the encrypted authentication and to and the user's change password after it expires, please, because that will be a task by itself. Click next, and finish up. And here you'll see that in the network policies, you have successfully added the project, your VPN policy, my bad, your VPN policy, which you will see is enabled and grants access to a VPN dialog. Now that I'm in my client server, I'll be showing you how to add in certain inbound rules to help with your VPN or to help with connectivity to your VPN. Now, in order to do that, you'll want to go on the Windows Defender firewall with advanced security and click on inbound rules. From there, you want to set a new rule. Now, the new rules that I'm going to add in would be a TCP rule and a GRE rule. Now, what you'll want to do here is click the port that says rule that controls connections for a TCP or a UDP point. Make sure that is selected. Once that is selected, you click next. Sure that the TCP function is selected, and in the specific local ports, you add in the required credentials. From there, you just click next, and for me, I name it the TCP rule. Once that is done, you click finish. Now for the GRE rule, it is the same process. You click new rule, you click custom rule instead. Once you click the custom rule, you click next. You make sure that the protocol type is GRE. Then you click next. Then you click next again. Make sure everything is to your liking, and you just give it a minute and click finish. Now that everything is set up and ready for testing, you'd want to go into your settings, your network settings, click on the VPN option, add a VPN, you put the correct properties for your VPN, like the VPN provider, the connection name, and the correct server address. Please do not put anything other than the correct server address that you have for your host server, because if you don't, you would be experiencing a lot of issues, a lot of unnecessary issues, a lot of issues you wish you had avoided. So please remember your correct IP address for your host server, and do please enter it, please. From there, you just want to click save and attempt to sign in. Now, moving forward, I forgot. Now move. Now, once you click save, they will ask you to sign in. Make sure to use the correct sign-in information. I am signing in as an admin, so this process could be much smoother for me. And here you would see that there was a problem, that the connection was denied because the username and password combination was not recognized. Now, for us to fix that, we'll have to go back on our host server and go back onto the network policies. Once there, we would want to right click onto the project, onto the VPN policy and click properties. Now, in the properties in this, you'd want to go into the condition, in the constraints. I'm very sorry about that. Make sure it's on the authentication method and add the EAP type, please. Once all of that is done, you click apply, you click OK. Make sure that the user can't change password or the just only holding Microsoft encrypted authentication is off before you click apply and OK. And once that is off, you click apply and OK. You just reattempt the connection. You add in your username and your password, and you should be able to connect to the VPN server on your host. You should be granted access to your VPN. And there you go.
Successful. So now we can go on our host machine and download the Exchange Server 2019 ISO cumulative update. So this would be one of the later updates. So this can have different prerequisites. So what we'll do now is look for the download link and get ready for our download. So here it is, cumulative update 14, download, and then it will be in your best interest to have a sufficient internet speed because it is 6 gigabytes. In my case, I didn't have fast internet at the time, so it did take a while for me. So here I download the ISO file on my host machine as I prepare to mount it on the virtual box. So from the virtual box now, I go into settings and then I go into storage, and what I do is I mount it and I select the ISO file, right there, and then I click on the CD drive, so it's almost as if it's a real CD that you have. So you have the option of doing this or downloading it directly from the server, from Windows Server virtual machine. And then we have the option of either downloading the Windows installer or the setup. So what I chose here was the Windows installer. Exchange Server installer. So as you can see, when I tried to press the setup, it told me it was already running because I had used the Windows installer already. So now we can check for updates simply. We click on next, and it will check to see if enough space is available. So copy the files. So as you can see, it needs to copy files as I require to install Exchange Server. To initialize the setup, prepare the necessary resources before I can continue to the next step. Check our RAM, make sure everything is good. I wasn't sure you have enough RAM because Exchange Server is quite heavy, so you don't want to run out of RAM. So assign enough RAM to it, allocate enough RAM to it, but make sure your host machine still has enough to avoid crashes. during the configuration. So you can read the paragraph if you wish on the introduction to the Microsoft Exchange server. After doing that, you agree to the license agreement, and then you can use the recommended settings for simplicity. From there, you can select the server roles, mailbox role management tools. That will be very important. And then to tell you how much this space is required, but just remember that this will increase and expand, so don't be fooled. We have the option of naming the organization, from which we will just use our custom name here. We will name it My Organization. Malware protection settings also is an option. We will now configure the prerequisites. To check to see if we have the prerequisites for this readiness check. If we don't, we will need to install further prerequisites, which in my case, most likely I will have to. So I did have to, in fact, and one of these prerequisites, which I had forgotten, is the .NET Framework 4.8, which is actually one of the most important prerequisites. So what we'll do is download this now from the Microsoft support page, 84, 86, and 64. So 64 and 32-bit. So let's extract the files. Then we'll install Microsoft.NET 8. And we'll run through the setup. Do the installation for it. Access to do. And we'll also install Unified Communications Managed API 4.0 runtime. This is another prerequisite that it asks us for. The prerequisite needed for this cumulative update of Exchange Server. So we'll run this setup, exe. Through the wizard. Next, read the license terms and then the installation progress. Finish the installation. Move on. And then lastly, we have the URL, right module 2.1. Here we download the Windows installer, 32-bit and 64-bit, English of course. So, we download to finish. Run both of them. Terms as always. Wait for the setup wizard to install it. Finish the setup wizard. And then from there, we should be able to complete the readiness check. Seeing that we have all the prerequisites. So we indeed have completed it all, so now we can follow through with the setup progress, as it will download Exchange Server. Here we will actually log in to the Exchange server using this URL specifying the local host, which is the server, our Windows server in our case, and then we would use our domain name and the administrator username in order to get the Exchange admin center. We type in our password and get ready to log in. We will select our country and our time zone. Should be good from here to load into the admin center. So in the admin center, in permissions, for example, in admin roles, we can set various permissions, give assigned roles to the admins, give assigned roles to the users, set policies for the Outlook web app policies. All those are under permissions. And then for the recipients in mailboxes, we can create a user mailbox. So what we would do is use an existing user from Active Directory. So as long as we have this, which I have, we'll simply just select this existing user, user 1, click save. This will save us the hassle of creating completely new credentials since we have it existing already. So seeing that as we do that, we can now add a second user using the same process of an existing user from the Active Directory. So we browse again and just simply select a different user, user 2 in my case. After completing that step, we'll now demonstrate another feature that can be done with the Exchange server. So what we can do is create a distribution group. So what this distribution group essentially is a mailbox that once emailed to all the members in that distribution group will receive the exact same email. So if user 1 sends an email to the distribution group, everyone in that distribution group will receive the same exact email. So it simplifies the process of giving announcements and important information to different users. So what we do is just specify the members of this distribution group. So in my case, it would be user 1 and user 2. This would be the members. And it has different permissions as you can see fit. So this is how we created the distribution group. So that's another feature of Windows Server, Windows Exchange Server. Now we can do is create a security group. So as you can see, mail-enabled security groups can be used to distribute messages and to assign access permissions to Active Directory resources. So we give it security admin's name, support whatever we want, and then we would again select who belongs to this. So you have options to add users, different administrator. We'll keep it simple though, we'll just add 2 users. And once all is well, we can save this configuration and move on to our next step in my demonstration. So what we want to do is create a shared mailbox. So shared mailbox will allow a group of users to view and send email from a common mailbox and share a common calendar. So anyone who logs into this mailbox, who uses this mailbox, can send email from this common mailbox. So this is how it is useful. So we name it something like help desk, and then we would, just as before, specify the user that have permission to view and send email from the shared mailbox. So we would just add our user 1 and user 2 just as before, just as we did as always. And we can just simply save this configuration. What I want to do is create a mail contact. So essentially a mail contact would be someone you create. So in my case it will be a new user, and this would basically be someone who has an external email address linked to it. So it will have credentials, but whatever is sent to this person will be forwarded to the external email address. Maybe your personal email address, which is of your decision what you want to put the email address as, or from where, who belongs to, as long as you have permission. So simply in my case, keep it simple and just add my personal email address, jonathan@gmail.com, And as long as we have everything correct, I can go ahead and save this configuration. And there we have it, the external contact. That's how we do it. So another feature is a new mail user. So this would work the same way, exact same way, but instead it would allow Active Directory logon permissions, logon credentials. So we can use an existing user or we can create a new user. So this would literally create a new user in Active Directory for us, thus allowing us to make this creation without having to go into Active Directory using Server Manager. So it simplifies the process for us. Greatly simplifies the process for us. So we will just go into contacts, and we'll go into mail user, and then we'll give it different information, the alias, external email address, first name, last name, initials, etc. Whatever you need. But since it's a new user, there will be more information required. So I'll use a different email address for this in this case. Credentials and so it will work from there. Type in our information. Basic information first, and then the main stuff that we would have put in Active Directory. So the logon name and the password. So we'll simplify the process again. Find our domain name that we'll call. Of the name, password, etc., and then click on save once we have finished confirming everything. That should be it. Please wait. Here we have it. Two of our contacts, a mail user and a mail contact. So from here now we want to just log in to user 1. What we want to do is do a test and send an email to ourselves. So this will therefore confirm that we can indeed send out emails and receive them using our user profile. So we want to do our email test ourselves and send it, and then we should receive it, yes, in the inbox. So we have indeed received it. So as you can see, it is working. And now we will move on to our next step. So, our next step, what you want to do is send an email to the distribution mailbox. So this distribution, everyone in this distribution mailbox will receive this exact same email in the distribution group. So you don't have to go through and type in multiple email addresses. Everyone will receive this. So we would just do it here, name it the testing email delivery to all group members, and we will send it out. And it did in fact pop up in user 1, the distribution email. So we did receive it because user 1 is a part of that distribution group. So we sign out now and we go into user 2, and then we check for the same email, matching email, exact word for word, letter for letter, and it should be there. And it is there. So it is in fact working, and that is how we can use the distribution email to simplify the process. So what we want to do now is use the shared mailbox. So the shared mailbox now we would use from user 2, for example, open another mailbox. We would add the mailbox that we made, and we would log into this, open the mailbox. And now user 2 has access to this. So what I can do now is create send it to another user, and then we will wait to see if it receives the email or whatever we want to do. So this is user 2, so that was an error on my part, so we would have to send it to we have to put the correct email because we're not logged on to user 1, so we would put user 2, and then now it should work, and the shared mailbox should send the email out to user 2, and it should work. So we just name it shared test, something like that. Check our user 2 inbox. test, we didn't receive it from help desk, we shared the mailbox on user 2. So that's another feature of Windows Exchange Server 2019. So what we want to do is send out confirmation saying we have received it. So as you can see, we sent out I have received it, and we want to send it out again. I have received it. So this will just be confirmation to the shared mailbox saying that user 2 did in fact receive the email from the shared mailbox. So then on the shared mailbox we should receive a reply. I have received it from user 2, which we did in fact receive. So this will give us confirmation that it worked on our end. So finally, what you want to do is send an email to the external contact. But unfortunately, this won't be able to be received on the external Gmail because Gmail doesn't trust the server's IP identity or DNS configuration. But this is expected behavior for a virtualized lab environment. So the only way this will be possible is if we do an SMTP relay. But for simplicity, let me just demonstrate that how it would send. But unfortunately on my host machine I won't be able to receive it. But it will still be attempted to be sent from the server. Unfortunately, Google wouldn't trust this. So, as you can see, we did get the reply from Outlook. So it did in fact send. As we know, it did try to send, but we won't be able to demonstrate it in this example due to the security issue. But it did in fact send because we did receive the reply from Outlook. So those are a lot of the ways we can do this. Thanks for watching, and this was my demonstration of Exchange Server 2019. Thanks for watching. Bye.
How Microsoft Defender is for paid access, I'm going to be showing you a way on how to do it in a simulation type of way. Now, first you'd want to boot up your Notepad and create a text file with this text inside. This is just a test, but you'll see why it is I'm telling you to do this in just a few. Make sure you save it as either a test.txt or escar.com. I did the test because it was simpler for me to do, and make sure it's saved to your desktop. Make sure it is saved to the desktop. From there, you'll want to open up the file and watch what happens. Now, as you see here, operations did not complete successfully because the file contains a virus or a potential unwanted software, which, if you see in the bottom right corner, the Windows security found the threat and immediately took action. Now, the reason why I did this was to show how well Windows Defender for Endpoint can be when it comes to threat detection and what it does afterwards. When it finds the threat, it just completely took it away. It didn't hesitate, it didn't malfunction in any way, it just removed said threat. For us to get a better look on what happened, we will have to go and check the event viewer log. Now, in order to do that, you can either right click the Windows button and click on event viewer, or press Windows button R, type in windowsviewer.msc, and there it would immediately take you to the Windows viewer. Once the event viewer logs is open, you'd want to look for Windows. You would want to look for Microsoft, then click onto the Windows folder, and then look for the where is it? Right here, Windows Defender, and click on Operational. Now here you would see our event ID for 1117 and 1116. Now these event IDs says that for 1116 a threat was found, and 1117 the threat was terminated or dealt with, showing that the computer did detect antivirus and went and deal with it. Now after this, I would recommend you open up PowerShell. I don't know why I decided to open up command prompt, but no, you have to open up Windows PowerShell, and type in get mp threat, and there it would show you that what the threat name, the ID, and what happened to the threat, and if it's still active or not. Now, I'm gonna do another demonstration where I'm gonna create a demo folder into my C drive, and I'm gonna place this demo folder. I'm gonna place important information into this demo folder, quote unquote important information. It's basically just a test to see what will happen if a if something was trying to access said demo folder from, let me say, my PowerShell. What will happen if somebody tried to hack into it? How Windows Defender for Endpoint would react into protecting my information. Well, now that we've placed important, quote unquote, important data into this text file, you would want to go into, where is it? Right. You'd want to go into your PowerShell. You'd want to go into Windows Security. I want to go into Virus and Threat Protection, scroll all the way down to Ransomware Protection, and manage the ransomware protection and turn on controlled folder access. Now that this is on, you want to place the demo folder into the protected folder section. So how we do that, we just click this, add a protected folder, and obviously we choose the demo folder from the C drive because this is the example we need to use to run it. So we select this folder and go open PowerShell. Now we want to run PowerShell not as an admin but just like a regular person. So we open it up and we placed this ransomware attack for our demo import data text, And as you could see here, the access to the path was denied due to the fact it's in the protected folder. Now, you would see here that an unauthorized ch- now in the right hand corner, you would see unauthorized changes blocked, control folder access blocked from the PowerShell. To make changes, click to see settings. Now, back into the same operational, we just kind of refresh it, and here you would see where a warning happened and that something tried to access our information, but the Windows Defender blocked access. And that is a small simulation on how Windows Defender for endpoint works. Thank you very much for your time.